Welcome to Oriam Unlocked, the podcast that brings you an insight into the lives of student athletes, elite performers, and the people shaping the future of sport in Scotland. Brought to you from Scotland's Sports Performance Centre, we go beyond the stats and schedules to uncover the mindset, the motivation, and the moment that define the journey. This is Oriam Unlocked. Let's step inside. Hello and welcome to Oriam Unlocked, the podcast brought to you from Scotland's Sports Performance Centre. And I am delighted today to be joined by the versatile Motherwell defender, Jenna Penman. Jenna, thank you very much for joining us on this episode. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Thanks for having me.
No problem at all. We can see you're in a sling. Obviously not something we've probably planned for this podcast. How's it going? What was the injury that you suffered?
So kind of first game of the season, I was blocking the ball back to the keeper, kind of go flying over the keeper is what I remember. I tore the ligaments in my shoulders, so my ACJ joint, which, frustrating first game of the season, but luckily really good turnaround, got surgery just a couple of weeks later. So probably around 4 weeks out from that right now, and it's going quite well. Definitely a lot of improvement from the first couple of weeks. As I said, frustrating to happen at the beginning of the season, but looking forward to rehabbing it and the road ahead.
How have you been managing it off the pitch? Obviously, as you say, it happened right at the start of the season, which can be quite challenging. You've been through that pre-season, you're prepared to go. How have you managed it sort of off the pitch since?
Probably just kind of keeping a bit of distance at first. So I stayed through in Edinburgh anyway, so it isolates myself a little bit, but it's quite nice to just take that step back, because I think I probably put a lot of pressure on myself at the beginning of the season to have a good solid season, and obviously that happens, it changes your outlook on that. So just taking a step back and realising it's not actually the end of the world. Like, I can still walk around, I can still get myself places, so probably trying to look at the positives a bit more and spending more time with my family. I'm from Aberdeen, so I went up home for a wee bit, which was nice. Spending time with my friends, spending time with my girlfriend's been really nice as well. So just maybe dissociating a bit, but also keeping in touch with the girls, and I've been able to go along to the games recently and support them in any way that I can, so off-pitch feedback and stuff has been really nice as well, so it's been good.
You mentioned you've been keeping in touch with the girls and stuff at Motherwell. What support have you received at the club, at Oriam as well? Obviously, we'll come on to your Heriot Watt journey as well a little bit later on, but have you been getting that sort of support group around you going through this process as well?
Yeah, so it's probably a bit more difficult as Motherwell are a part-time team, but they've been fantastic. We've got a fantastic physio. I think we've just brought a doctor in, so looking forward to probably touching a bit more bases with them. But recently it's just almost been check-ins like, how are you? My coach texts me or phones me just about every couple of days, which has been fantastic. But probably a bit more contact in the next few weeks when that rehab really builds up.
We'll move on from the sad stuff and the injury stuff. We'll move on to the football. You moved to Motherwell. What was it that attracted you to the club and the project at Motherwell?
So the head coach, Paul, was my under-16 Scotland coach, so I knew what he was like and he knew kind of the player that I was. I was probably looking to gain more experience, gain more playing time, which I did. So I went in and I played every single game. I think I started all but one, and in that one I came on at half-time and played the 45 minutes after that. So that was my main goal, was to get back playing constantly all the time, get my fitness back up, because I'd learned a lot of previous clubs, but it's that game time that really gets you up to speed. And my goals for the season was to play, to get myself back into the Scotland setup, and I did that. So represented 23s last year as well, which was fantastic for me. So those were my main goals, and thanks to Paul and thanks to also the players around that helped, that's where I got, and it was fantastic. The
team's shown quite a great resilience in recent seasons. What's exciting you about being part of that squad? It's tough to say because you've had the injury and been away from it a little bit, but what's exciting you as you get back to injury and getting involved as the season progresses?
I think with the season we had last year, I think we probably went in as underdogs. No one really expected us to get that 6th place spot and to get into the top 6, and we really fought and we worked together and we managed to get that. So probably the exciting task is to try to do that again, where other teams are improving, as are we, other teams around us. Probably more fighting for that 6th place spot. There's still a gap between probably us, a few teams around us, and that top 5 teams. But that's probably where it's exciting, where we can push to compete with the teams around us, but also the teams that are in every single day, getting a professional wage, and really push ourselves against the best.
We'll look at your career journey. You've played for some top clubs already. You played for Aberdeen, Hibs, Hearts before moving on to Motherwell. Looking back, how would you describe and explain your football journey from, let's take it back, what was your first memory of football before we even moved on to sort of the professional clubs and things? What was your first memory of football?
So I played football as long as I remember. My older brother likes this story because he probably got me into it. He's 2 years older than me, so I just remember getting battered in the back garden, a wee bit bullied around. But
as younger siblings often do.
Yeah, exactly. So without him, I wouldn't have been in it. And my dad was my primary school coach, so played a lot of boys football growing up, like within the school. And then I joined Westdyke Girls Club up in Aberdeen. So played there up until I think I was around 15.
Yeah.
Wanted to push on a bit, and then I moved to Dundee United. So just played there for a year to get women's football. So I played in SWPL 2 there with Dundee United. Moved back to Aberdeen because obviously I wasn't driving then, so it was a lot of commuting for my parents. I played there for a few years, but was really interrupted with COVID and stuff.
Yeah.
And then it was time for uni, so I wanted a new challenge. Hibs reached out, so I played there for 6 months. Met a lot of really good people, but I probably didn't quite fit into the team like I would have wanted to. And then the opportunity came to come across to, the Oriam and play for Hearts, which I think I learned so much in those 2 years. I met some of my best friends, I met my girlfriend here, so I can't complain. Those 2 years were fantastic. But then again, I wasn't playing.
Yeah.
So then I made that probably hard decision to go from a full-time semi-professional team to drop down a bit. But in reality, it probably wasn't a drop down, it was more of a sideways step, and it managed to push me further onto Motherwell, which was fantastic. And along the way, playing for the youth national teams, which, great experience. Everyone is honoured to always play for their country, so fantastic. I've probably been around a few more clubs than I would have liked, but at the same time, it got me where I am, so I can't complain.
Mentioning Hearts and Hibs there, you mentioned obviously training at Oriam as well. Hibs, a great side, winning the league last year. What were some of the biggest lessons that you took from playing at those clubs? You've moved away from home, you've came down to Edinburgh, and you've played for two massive clubs who are really prominent within the women's game. What sort of lessons did you take from playing for those teams?
Probably to have a lot of pride in what you do. So obviously going from Aberdeen, but also the timescale. So as I've moved in the past few years, women's football's grown so much. So there's so many more eyes on what you do, and probably that what you're doing is actually really important. Whereas in my mind, a lot of the time, I feel like I'm just doing my hobby. I'm getting paid for doing my hobby, which is fantastic. But you realise that you're actually a role model for a lot of younger kids, which you probably don't realise when you're in it. But when you say, when I played for Hibs and Hearts, we're playing in these big stadiums as well as Motherwell. We played at quite a few last year as well. You've got all these fans and young girls coming to watch, and it is really nice to know that you probably do have an impact on what they do, and they aspire to be where you are. So being a role model for them is really important.
You mentioned your international experience as well. You've represented Scotland under 16 all the way up through the levels. What did pulling on the Scotland jersey mean to you? We're obviously in Scotland's performance centre here. We're in and around a lot of people every day who represent the country. What was it like for you at those different levels and really sort of being able to represent your country on that international stage?
I remember the first time, so kind of you get an email through when you're younger, your parents might get it and stuff. So I missed out on the under 15s age group, but I remember the first time I got the email through from the under 16s, it was just me and my mum in the house. I came running down and we just cried together because it was so exciting. Like, I didn't think that was ever something that you could kind of get into, so that was amazing. And all my experience has been fantastic. As I said, I met some of my best friends from there. From Aberdeen, like, you meet so many girls from the central belt there, and that's where I really got close to a lot of the girls. And then when I moved down, that probably made the move easier because I knew a lot of them anyway. But fantastic, great experience all the time, playing against some of the best teams in the world, best countries, best players. Real honour, especially. I think I had a break between 19s and 23s with not playing and stuff, so kind of to get that call up again last year meant a lot to me.
Do you feel like international football in the women's game has quite a lot of influence on your development compared to some of the club football as well? Does it feel like quite a strong togetherness from that early age and help you develop as you move through the ages from those early teens up to becoming a professional player?
I would say so. I think for me, I felt like playing for kind of 17s, 19s gave me a lot of experience that I think players my age otherwise didn't have. Mm-hmm. So I felt going into these women's sides that I wasn't like a younger kid coming in. I felt mature enough, and it really gave you that experience that a lot of people probably didn't have. So definitely, I think it really helped me to push on and be more confident in myself and confident in a workplace that is majority older people.
It's Scottish Women and Girls in Sport Week this week, so it would be rude not to mention it and mention some of your influences and idols. Who were your inspirations growing up in the game? It can be men, women, but who were your inspirations? Was there a Scottish player, a women's player who you really looked up to as you were going through the age groups?
So I think probably when I was really young, wasn't quite in football. My cousin was the captain of the Scottish women's hockey team. So I probably looked up to her thinking, you can actually get there, you can represent your country as a woman and stuff. When I was younger, I probably didn't watch enough football to be like, oh, that's a player for me. But as I grew up, I think being a defender, Lucy Bronze really stuck out to me with her kind of aggressiveness, tenacity and everything like that. She's a fantastic player, and see how many times she's been nominated for the Ballon d'Or is something. It's incredible. So as I watched a bit more football, obviously she's a big player, everyone knows her. So that was probably someone that I looked at. And as well, I didn't know too many Scottish players at the time, but Kim Little being a huge player, and she's from the northeast as well as Rachel Corsie. So I think players with a bit more kind of linked to me, homegrown and stuff, really had an influence on me, and thought, because Aberdeen's so isolated, it shows that you can not get out of there, but also make a name for yourself from being from like a smaller city. It
has quite a community feel when you have people coming from a smaller city like that. You mentioned the Ballon d'Or. I have to mention Caroline Weir, the first Scottish women's player to be nominated for the Ballon d'Or. The game's grown massively in the last few years, worldwide, but specifically in Scotland. I see a lot of it being from here and being involved in football. From your perspective, what's been the biggest change in the last few years? We're getting that international acclaim, that microphone and that camera on, and it's getting a bit more of a nicer feel to it. Everyone's getting a bit more inclusive with it. What's been the biggest change that you've seen in the last few years around the women's game in this country?
Probably just the support, whether that's kind of in club or out of club. I think you see the biggest change isn't probably like the players and stuff that you see, it's the support staff that you get. So it's maybe the funding that the club's putting in, so you'll have more sports scientists, you'll have more physios and stuff, which is actually like the bones of a club, and it helps players get better. So that side kind of in team aspects there, but then also just the support, like random people will know about women's football a lot more. You'll see like stuff on Instagram, stuff on TikTok, whereas before it was men's football, whereas it's still obviously got a long way to go, but definitely leaning a lot more towards people know who female footballers are, and actually enjoy watching female football as well. Understand it's a slightly different game to the men's game, but they enjoy watching it, and the crowds that we get is fantastic. It's growing each year.
The change in the progression of it, do you feel that's now made a bit more of a visible pathway for younger girls who are coming through and loving football and wanting to get to the stage possibly where you're at, where you're playing at a high level? Do you feel that those pathways are becoming a bit clearer and it's becoming a bit more closer to the men's side, where you go through an academy at an early age and work your way up?
Yeah, definitely. I think when I was probably growing up, the SFA especially kind of had separate, not pathways, but separate sessions and stuff to make it more of a professional feel for us, whereas now that's embedded in the club. So it's more kind of going through your club using the academy like the men do. And I remember when I was at my regionals, I didn't realise regionals meant you could get to Scotland. I just thought that was it, that was the top, because I didn't know what was beyond that. So I think now it's really more visible. You see the women's national team playing at Hampden, winning games, scoring goals and stuff, which I don't remember when I was younger. So definitely I think there's much more of a pathway, much more support for younger girls. Great progression to see. Hopefully more to come as well. Moving away from the fun stuff and the football stuff, we'll move on to your balancing football with your studies. Obviously you're a student here at Heriot-Watt. Is it Sport and Exercise Science at Heriot-Watt? How have you found balancing the demands of playing football and also studying at university as well? Quite easy actually. I think Heriot-Watt have a fantastic sports scholarship programme in place, and I think without that I would have really struggled. So they give great flexibility, extra support for physio, sports science whenever you need it, access to gyms like this. So without them I probably would have struggled. But it's probably been not too bad of a transition going from school and playing as well to this. So I study, I go to football, come back and study, and I'm always in touch with my lecturers. Probably doing sports science helps because they understand football and they understand probably the demands I have, but also the link with the scholarship programme, and everyone there is fantastic for extra support. And anything I need, they're like, just let us know, especially with my injury as well.
Yeah.
They're always there to help. So, you know, it's been really, really good, really, really positive, and I would tell anyone that it's been a fantastic thing for me.
Was university something that you thought you'd move on to as you were growing up? Was it something that you always had your eyes set on, or because it sort of integrated with football, it sort of happened?
Always something I'd plan on doing, to be honest. My parents both went to uni. They're a big thing for me. I don't think I probably had, you know, people grow up and think, oh, what am I going to do next? I always had in my mind I was going to go to uni. I probably didn't realise you could do anything else at the time, but I've always really enjoyed my education, big emphasis on my education. I think it's really important, not just for myself, but for any athlete. You know, injuries can happen all the time, as you can see, and thankfully for me, this is not career ending, but anything can happen in contact sports that I play. So yeah, I've always thought it's something I want to do. Both my brothers are at uni as well. And I think it's a fantastic way to meet people. Like, I know so many people in football, but now I know people across different sports, people who aren't doing sports, and it really opens you up socially as well, which I've really enjoyed. Getting
that university experience on all levels. Do you find your studies actually help you maybe understand your performance and fitness and recovery a wee bit better? Because it is sort of tailor-made for your professional pathway as well. Does that sort of go hand in hand?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's probably what drew me to sports science in the first place. Was I like football, I like kind of understanding why you're getting fitter and stuff was probably the main idea originally. Didn't realise how much is actually behind sports science, and as I've gone, it's been really nice to see how hand in hand they go. And also the people I've met in sports science, like I've now got really good connections through the educational world as well as kind of my football world, and it links a lot of stuff that we do, links to what I do on the pitch, and it definitely, I think it's made me a better athlete because, as you said, recovery, nutrition and stuff, it's insights that you wouldn't know if you were just playing football.
Looking ahead, as a 22-year-old, loads of experience already under your belt, what are your short and long-term ambitions in the game? Do you have a mindset of this is how many years I want to play, this is what I want to achieve, or are you quite laid back with it and taking it as it comes? Probably
this year's maybe quite changed how I feel a bit. I've had to reevaluate what I wanted to do. I think, like, speak to me last year, I had a big mindset on I want to go full-time professional, I want to do this for this many years, but now you kind of take a step back and realise that that might not be possible this year with the games that I'm going to play. Depends how my rehab goes, and you never know, but I would like to play football for as long as I can.
Yeah.
I would also like to have more education, probably go back and study again and kind of build that knowledge for a career afterwards. So unsure, probably see how it goes, but I would definitely like to, you know, have a good shot at professional football, whether it's in Scotland, whether it's somewhere else. Unsure, but yeah, a bit of both still, I think.
You say that it's maybe changed your mindset a bit. Could you see yourself playing football professionally but also working as a sports scientist or somewhere in that area alongside it at the same time, rather than it be an afterthought after the career?
Probably if allowed, definitely.
Yeah.
I think depends on the time constraints and how much time both of them would take up. I've done them hand in hand for a while, so maybe focus on football for a little bit would be quite nice.
Yep.
But if it allowed for me to study a bit more while I played full time, then that just gives me like a leg up for once I'm done my football career and pushing on to an actual career. Well, not an actual career, but something outside of football.
Yeah.
Probably still linked with, well, definitely linked with sport, potentially still linked with football because obviously that's where my interest is in team sport and stuff. But yeah, I do think it's probably made me think that everything's a bit more feasible to do altogether.
Yeah, especially when it's something you love and you're interested in, then neither one will sort of feel like work if you can combine it.
Too much hassle, yeah.
Absolutely. To finish things off, we'll hopefully have a few young girls watching this podcast, obviously Girls and Women in Sport in Scotland Week. What advice would you give to any young girls coming through, not even in football, any sport, any level? What advice would you give to them as they work their way up, whether that be with a professional goal at the end or just playing recreationally and wanting to get involved in sport? What advice would you give to someone 12, 13, 14 years of age right now?
Probably just some of the classic stuff is get stuck in, don't stop, do what you enjoy. If you don't enjoy it, find something else you do enjoy, but also soak everything in. Do you know what I mean? They're probably going out just having fun, kick about, run around. That's not going to last forever. You know, things get a bit more serious. So think about what you want in the future, but also enjoy yourself in that moment and speak to people, get knowledge from people, learn how to get better. How to get better is in the end going to be how you enjoy it more. If you're better, you enjoy people like winning. Always, well, if you're an athlete, you like winning anyway. So yeah, just keep enjoying it, and if you don't enjoy it, find something you do, because there will be something out there that you do enjoy.
And that's what matters the most,
Exactly.
isn't it? Well, Jenna, thank you very much for your time today. Really enjoyed that conversation. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.
No worries.